swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
You are listening to the Fly the W podcast. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave those 5-star reviews. You can email us at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us all the time at Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. And I am happy to have on and welcome a wonderful guest, the voice of spring for, 1983. How many years now? Tim Sheridan. I'm looking at your card, Tim. This is a card you gave me in 2023 that says 40 years. So we're going to have to say 43 years?
This is going to be 43rd consecutive. Yes, sir.
Oh, my God. Where does the time go, Tim? That's what I asked myself.
I freaking asked the same thing. I can't be that old.
Well, you started young. You started in college. Tell our listeners how you run into this gig.
Yeah, it was one of those kind of right place, right time deals. I was taking a class at Mesa Community College, broadcasting major at the time. Someone came into the class, said, "Who wants to help out at Cub spring training?" Very quick reflexes, got myself over there. Two of us went over that spring, and we got to the ballpark the first time, and they said, "Here's what's going to happen. One of you is going to answer these phones and be the spotter, and the other is going to do the public address announcing, however you guys want to slice it up." And we had no idea that's actually what we were going to be doing. So it was a little bit frightening and intimidating for a couple of 20-year-olds. We're like, we're actually going to be announcing? Okay. So we did, and yeah, that's how it started.
And it's just an unbelievable history when you think about it. And, looking at this card, today is the anniversary of the day that we lost a legend, Harry Carey. And this is a picture of you and Harry many, many years ago. But I mean, to think about all the years that you got to spend with Harry Carey when, over at Hohokam Park and all that, it just, sometimes you got to just pinch yourself and just say, man, I was just thinking it's been since 98. You know what I mean? We're just so many years away since it's happened, but Harry's always been like, to me, just this presence that's never gone away.
He really has been. That guy created a very large shadow that just kind of seems to kind of hang on. I don't know if it's the everyman broadcasting style and the big glasses and the fact that he liked to drink an ice cold beer. Those things kind of resonate with fans. And yeah, I was lucky enough that, they only announced, I'd say, about 3 to 5 games on television in spring training back in those days. And the thing about Harry was he would show up when he didn't have to announce, and he would come and sit in the stands and drink a beer and watch the Cubs play like everybody else. It was crazy. So fans would, come and get autograph while sitting there, then they'd go away. And he didn't ever seem to mind, which was really good. I would see him after the ball game because that old Holcomb Stadium, the one that I was basically in from 84 until 97, when they tore it down after the 96 season, it had a wide open press box so you could literally just reach out to the fans who were, if they stood up, their heads were literally almost right in your lap there. And Harry would stay at the end of the game until the last person had an autograph. So I just really think you do those kinds of things, and that really endears you to the fans. So he had that going for him.
And like I said, just how funny is it that people could actually block your view of the game? I know that Pat Hughes has the Voices of the Game CD with Ron Santo, and they were out in spring training, and he basically said, okay, there's somebody blocking my view. So Ron Santo's going to be taking over play-by-play. And the next thing you hear is Ronnie Santo yelling, "Can you please sit down?" So, I mean, just how, and for you to see, again, Ron Santo, very similar to Harry in that, as far as just the fan engagement and how much fun it would be out in spring training.
Yeah, it was really just crazy for me because here I am, like say, the first spring in particular was obviously a really unique spring in 1984 since they hadn't won anything in quite a long time until that year. And then WGN was going on, so I had the ability to come and watch the games once spring training got over and really kind of became a Cubs fan. I grew up in Minneapolis, so I was a Twins fan growing up, and then my family moved to Arizona after my sophomore year of high school. So I ended up, and there was no Diamondbacks back then, of course. So I ended up becoming a Cubs fan through that course of that year. And just, the fact that I got to sit in between once Ron Santo came on board and Pat Hughes, I got to sit in between WGN radio and WGN TV when they were broadcasting because the PA spot was right behind home plate. I don't know whose idea was to put it there, but as a young 20-year-old kid, I was just like, pinch me. I can't believe it because I've got these, very interesting people, like you say, from Santo to Harry Carey. You've got all this energy. When the microphones were not on between innings, that's when the fun stuff happened.
I can only imagine to be on a fly on the wall there. And so, when you are not broadcasting games and you're kind of just waiting, how much of a smile do you have when you board that plane to get to Mesa and get ready to start, when the season's right there and you're ready to start calling your first games?
Well, for me, it's just like this special time of year, and it has been. I've been lucky enough, like you say, I don't know where the time has gone, but to be every spring, it's like I got to go on this incredible spring break that was with the Cubs instead of going to, the beach or wherever. I went with the Cubs and I've never had to give it up. It's like I'm still in college, at least for the spring break over the month and a half that the Cubs are here. So I just feel like completely blessed. And every year is a new season. So with the Cubs, it's always like this is the next year. This is the year. Um, so it's fun. The sights, the sounds, the smells. Arizona's weather is beautiful generally during this time of year. So uh, I'm just like in heaven when it happens every spring.
Yes, and last spring was kind of interesting because it was a return of somebody you knew very well, Sammy Sosa, who, 10 years with the Cubs and then all of a sudden kind of banished. And then last year he returned, and I was laughing listening to just how stunned he was of what the Cubs have now. If you're out at Sloan compared to what the facility Sammy was used to training in back in the day.
Yeah, it's the difference is literally night and day. I was lucky enough. I was working on a documentary um, on the Cubs, and so I actually got to interview Sammy Sosa in the locker room at Wrigley Field, which now the old locker room at Wrigley Field obviously is long gone, but excuse me, the spring training facilities are like night and day above what Wrigley Field was when I did that interview because it was like a little maze you had to get through down there. I'm like, this is really the locker room for a professional team. It was crazy. So yeah, personally, I was happy to see Sammy come back. He meant a lot to the fans for a lot of years, and again, I'm not voting for a Hall of Fame or anything like that, so I don't have any, axe to grind in that situation. I just thought it was good to reconnect with an icon who was a part of Chicago and baseball for quite a while there, and really brought baseball back along with McGuire in the home run race after that, that strike situation. Because fans were, if you remember back, and you're younger, so it was probably a younger guy then, but yeah, there was a little animosity between the fans and the players and all that, coming into like 94, 95. So I just think it's about time that Sammy came back.
And for you, when you see these guys, because Sammy was announced in the Cubs Hall of Fame this year, Jody Davis, when you see the Cubs Hall of Famers, how much do you enjoy and think about, you've seen so many of these guys pass through, Jody Davis, John Lester this year, Sammy Sosa, Ramos, Derek Lee, Grace, all these guys, you've gotten to kind of just follow their career. How enjoyable is it for you to see them get the recognition at Wrigley Field?
Oh, it's amazing, and like to say, I just feel humbled and just lucky and blessed that I've been able to be here every spring all these years. And here's an interesting stat: Ferguson Jenkins was actually trying to catch back on with the Cubs. He was with the Cubs in the spring of '84 as a pitcher. He ended up being they went their separate ways. I don't know how that all went down. I was like, say, I was a 20-year-old just happy to be sitting there watching a baseball game. I wasn't privy to any inside information. But the fact that Ferguson Jenkins was at least still trying to give it a go as an actual pitcher the first year that I was there also makes me feel a little old, yes. But just to see all these amazing players come through and for the most part be able to announce their names over the loudspeaker for Cubs home games, which includes people like Ernie Banks, because he wasn't playing, of course, but he would come and he would throw first pitches and things like that. So I just basically feel so lucky. Ryan Sandberg was one of my favorite names to announce in the early days, and I just it's so sad because he's just still was a young man, but so I was really that's a tough one this off season here. But yeah, I just love being there, and life goes on, and I just hopefully I can keep showing up. you know.
And you bringing that up makes me think about one of the last moments I remember of Rhino was him coming out to spring training, and he got surprised by his old teammates, Sean Dunston, who's in the Arizona who lives in Arizona, and Mark Grace, who lives in Arizona. So if people haven't been to Mesa before, if they haven't been to Cubs spring training, that there are a lot of ex-Cubs alumni that come around and help out, whether it's Lee Smith. I know Fergie Jenkins has been there. Rick Sutcliffe has been there. Lee Smith will stop by. All of these guys that come by, it's just a kind of a cornucopia of just like, it feels like you're like going back in time to see kind of some of your heroes growing up.
It really is. And that's, as you say, it's a special thing with spring training where before the games start, you can actually come and watch the practices over at Sloan Park, and you can get right up to the fence, and the players are just essentially would be like a high school, field where they're just inside the fence and they're doing their thing. And like say, you look around and there's Rick Sutcliffe. There's so and so. Because they do come around, and a lot of players who have done spring training here have found that Arizona is a very nice, warm place to kind of live and don't have to deal with the cold of Chicago or Minnesota, places like that. So I think it's a desirable place for the players to retire to and still have that connection of the team, and then they can go up to Chicago and Wrigley Field during the regular season and kind of do their tours up there.
Yeah, and the thing that I love too is that like I was there a couple of years ago and I'm looking and I'm like, who is that? Why does that guy look familiar? Is that Rick Sutcliffe? No, it wasn't Rick Sutcliffe. It was Mark McGuire. His son Mason played for the Cubs.
Yeah.
And to see Mark McGuire in a Cubs uniform was definitely, we were talking about Sammy and McGuire. There's McGuire in full pinstripes, and I'm just going like, oh my God, it's just unbelievable. So
exactly. Did you see a pig flying across the sky there?
Right. Right. It's like, what's McGuire doing in a Cubs uniform? But Tim, for people that haven't been out to Mesa, why do you believe that someone should kind of come out to a baseball game at Sloan Park? What does Sloan Park have to offer that makes it such a fan-friendly experience?
Well, so many things, but first off is they have this guy who's been announcing for a long time. He's got this very distinctive voice. No, I'm just kidding. but it's kind of funny though. I realized that I've been doing it so long, and that it's really like you could say people have like generations have heard the same voice. So there is a certain continuity, and I guess because I've become more comfortable in my role over the years, that I'm able to kind of give a little bit more energy to certain names, certain players. And I think there's something that just like, oh, I lost you. Gotcha. My tripod fell over. The reflexes still work,
You're
Crawly.
ready for the foul balls.
I literally caught that. She was going backwards. So there's the music. They're really doing a nice job of branding Wrigley Field / Chicago with Sloan Park. So you get a mini feel of that, but yet everything is closer and more intimate. We hold 16,000 fans, which is a lot for a spring training ballpark, but not, compared to Wrigley Field or other ballparks. So you really can be up close and personal. Autographs are easier to come by if that's what your kid wants to do, those kinds of things. It's just this really fun. I like to say to people, it's just a great day to go out to the ballpark, and that's park, and have a hot dog and a beer and great weather. Maybe take off your shirt, get that winter belly all red, that type of thing. So um, you can't go wrong. Tickets are a little less expensive. They're a little more expensive than they used to be back in the day, but everything has risen. So but still, they're not what you're going to pay at Wrigley Field or a major league ballpark. So.
Like you said, it's just and the games don't matter. You don't worry about wins or losses. It's just they're talking about Cub fans. Talk about the season, a cold one. For me, it's funny. I've seats, but I've sat in seats. I sit in the berm, left field berm, and to me that to me is a little bit of heaven. And one of the things I enjoy doing is seeing all the people. It's like a festival. Look at this picture right here, and the legend, Tim Sheridan. Look at that picture. I believe that you're drinking. I think you're drinking a water, and looks like I'm drinking an iced tea in that picture, I would believe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were both just getting hydrated for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely water. Definitely iced tea, maybe.
Yeah, but that and the fun thing that you kind of talked about the generations, but like the people that go every year, it's almost like a family reunion. Oh, hey, what
It
are you
is.
doing? And, hey, and people are cooking stuff up. They're tailgating, and that's something that you don't really kind of get to do at Wrigley. And you just sit on that path between the Performance Center and Sloan Park, and it's the people watching and the player watching, and it's just so much fun. And that's why, like I said, I didn't go last year. I took the year off so I could go to Arizona for opening day to Phoenix. But I'm so excited to go out there. It's just like when I land and all of a sudden I just get out there and I get to Sloan Park the first time, like I have a grin from ear to ear. It's just like I feel like a kid in a candy store.
It's exactly how I feel about it too. I'll tell you a quick little story about back in that old Holcomb, the one where I used to actually have to introduce Harry Carey and hand him my microphone to do the seventh inning stretch. Whether he was down in the stands, he would always work his way up because he knew that that was a way of keeping his name. He was pretty good about, pretty savvy on promotion and being Harry Carey. So he would work his way up there, even if he wasn't announcing a game after he'd had a few beers. He might have been feeling pretty good at the time. Um, so I would introduce him on the microphone, and he would, sing because the audio system wasn't very good, and the microphone wasn't tied into WGN, so they just had to sing it over my PA. But so Harry, back let's see, probably the year before the stadium was torn down. Oh, so this was what I was getting at. In 1984, when I started, until 1989 at the old Holcomb Park, they did not sell beer. at all. There was no
Wow.
beer sales, and I've talked to a few people and wasn't quite sure what it is, but Mesa is and really was back then kind of a Mormon town, and I think that was kind of part of an extended history to finally get that to happen. So yeah, so Harry didn't show up to the games as much before '89. No, I'm just kidding.
But he would work his way up to the stadium
Oh,
and
he did.
literally use your mic.
He would use my mic, and as I say, going back, that old uh, that old press box was straight above the main concession stand. And this is what you say about memories and things that trigger memories. Your nose is really a good trigger, as much as your ears and all the other senses. But with that main concession stand, every year when I got there, I could smell the popcorn, the hot dogs, the hamburgers grilling. They would just walk straight up because it was wide open. Now I get there, of course, it'd make me hungry, but I would just think to myself, it's spring training again. I'm so lucky to be here, and I still feel the exact same way.
And Tim, it really is the Cub fans that are lucky to have you. Again, there's just a lineage of people that have been such a part of this. And when we go and we see you, it just reminds us of just all the fun times, all the fun memories. It truly is a blessing to have you continuing to do this. And I'm looking forward to my 50th anniversary card. This is right here. This one is number 42 out of 400. So not bad. But I'm looking forward to that. Tim, where can our listeners find? I know you do a lot of creative things. Where can your listeners find your work?
Yeah, we'll be getting back into doing some creative things. Last year, I did a brewery and baseball tour. So I'm right now. What I'm working on is a 10-year anniversary of the Cubs World Series team. So I would always be here, as you know, but maybe some of the people don't. And I would bring my camera, my video camera, my still camera, and I would take pictures. So for that team, as they were working its way up, from the time they got Rizzo in the trade and got all these young guys, I would film every spring and I would do interviews with different players and stuff. So I'm putting together a little program that will be about an hour long, and it's kind of going back to the 10-year anniversary, but also what built that team up and the players. And so I'm kind of, it's a multimedia experience, and it's going to be at a brewery. So we'll be able to kind of have a beverage, adult beverage, as Harry would have appreciated so much. And I'll do that for an hour, and then we'll have some Q&A, and then we'll just talk baseball for like another half hour. So I'm getting the actual place and date situated right now, and so I'll let you know. I'll let everybody know. But Boys of Spring is the website, so I'll be doing more on that as we start. You can my YouTube channel, Tim Sheridan, Boys of Spring, all that. Either way, you type it in, that stuff should come up. So yeah.
Why don't you do us a favor? Why don't you go ahead and take the PA and kind of get us ready for spring? Give us a final call here before we leave.
Well, I should say I have I have a secret document that I just went to. This is the control room information packet that we just had a meeting on Wednesday. So there are some things here that I just can't let anyone know about. But anyhow, um, I'll just give you a preview of what you might hear tomorrow if you were at the game, just to start off. I got to get in my right headspace here, of
Yeah,
course,
I'm
because
closing my eyes, man.
as a
It's
20 Crawley, as a 20-year-old, I couldn't just use my talking voice. I had to figure out how to like program myself into what a public address announcer sounds like. So um, it's been an ongoing thing, but now I have this PA persona that I use. Anyhow, here we go. Good afternoon and welcome to Sunny Mesa's Sloan Park, spring training home of your Chicago Cubs. Well, something like that. I hope I didn't blow up the mic there.
No, you did great, man. I cannot wait to hear you tomorrow, and I can't wait to see you, buddy, when I head out to Mesa. Thank you so much for jumping
Yes,
on.
sir. My pleasure, as always, Crawly.
It's all over.